Craggy's Connacht Rugby podcast from Athlone. The lights are on. This is a venue I have such great memories from. I'm Rob Murphy. This is Alan Deegan. I remember myself and yourself watching Scott Quinnell play puck with Connacht about, 20 years ago on the terrace over in the far side?
Yeah, some great nights here. Remember the 3-0 win by Munster over Connacht in a dreadful weather, unbelievable forward battle, but an amazing game of rugby. Can't remember exactly when that was, but it was still an amazing game of rugby.
At the same time, and beating Narbonne in the 2001 Challenge Cup game in the rain, the muck. They hadn't even the stand built. Oh my God, there was some atmosphere. Yeah, in those days there used to be a lot more games there, but I suppose as the game has evolved, like most teams, you end up in one venue. But it's lovely to come back here, and Buccaneers have put on an amazing show.
They most certainly did. Plenty of kids going around. I was sitting close to where Bundy was, and the amount of kids, when they realised where he was, he was like an unbelievable magnet to practically every kid in the ground. And he was brilliant with them all, I have to say. He was really patient because there was an awful lot of them, and he was absolutely brilliant with them.
Danny Deegan is here. Bundy is sporting a new haircut this year.
Is he? Has he got
new hair colour?
Yeah, he's still got the.
Look at Danny coming with the technical straight away.
Well, what I thought was funny is that Tom Curry was sitting beside Bundy, and people were asking Tom Curry to take pictures of them with Bundy, not knowing who Tom Curry was, which I found very funny, and I could see that from the other side of the pitch.
I really hope this podcast hasn't peaked with that moment. That's like the highlight of the day.
It was very funny, and congratulations to Bundy becoming a dad again.
Good news all around, and that comes from all of us, and I'm sure all of you. Connacht have won 15 points to 5, 3 tries. Conor Oliver, Josh O'Connor owned the Buitlear. Not a bad outing. First take, very, very snappy, and then we'll hear from Andy Friend from the Buddy.
Very dogged display. I came up here, all I wanted to see was better defence than what we've seen for a while, and we saw better defence. Very dogged display. Really, really impressed with Josh Murphy. What an animal on the field, I have to say.
We're going to hear from him in the podcast. He's down there, and Dylan Tierney-Martin's down there as well, I think, having a chat with William Davis. But Danny, your first take before we jump into the interviews?
Typical friendly match. A lot of penalties given away, but well impressed with our bench and a lot of our young lads stepping up. Just felt everybody took their chance tonight.
Great work, lads. Here is William Davis speaking to Connacht's new Director of Rugby. He's still doing the same job. It's all titles. Andy Friend speaks to William Davis. After that, you're going to hear for the first time on this podcast Josh Murphy speaking to William Davis. Also Dylan Tierney-Martin as well. Easy for me to say. Here they are.
Andy, a win at Dubarry Park this evening, 15 points to 5, second game of the week. What's your immediate reaction to that?
Really proud of the young fellas, mate, or the whole team. We had some young fellas out there, we had some older heads too, but I just thought it was a really gutsy performance, a very physical performance. Wasn't perfect, we knew it's never going to be perfect, but we asked for we wanted to see their spirit tonight, and we wanted to see their energy tonight, and we saw that in spades, so I was very happy with it.
Tough game. Big Sale team asked, I suppose, what you'd call the usual type of questions an English side have, but Connacht got in their faces and knocked them off their stride. That seemed to be particularly the end of the first half when you got your second try with Josh O'Connor.
Yeah, I thought in some of those physical confrontations we didn't back down. I thought our maul defence was excellent and our maul attack was excellent. That made a bit of a statement against a big pack like that. I thought some of the one-on-one collisions that went on out there and the battles that went out there, I thought they also set a tone. Conor Oliver, Josh Murphy, first game, Dylan Tierney-Martin, those boys just didn't stop the whole night, and it was brilliant, and that gave everyone else courage and confidence to play like that, which the rest of the boys did.
Yeah, I thought Dylan Tierney-Martin was probably pretty close to my man of the match. Josh Murphy as well. Peter Dooley, there was contributions across really the whole team in what was at times a messy enough game, but Connacht seemed to be better organised than Sale were, and you seized your opportunities when they came.
Yeah, and I think that's a fair assessment, William. I think Yeah, and that's a credit to our coaching staff. We've got a very good coaching staff. Mossy Lawler's taken over the attack, and I think I know he's frustrated because there were opportunities that we didn't take out there, but we certainly took a few. I know Deervold with the line-out attack and the maul attack and defence. He spent a lot of work on that. Cully Tucker with the scrum. I thought our scrum was good. I thought our breakdown was excellent. That's another area of Cully's. And then you got Pete Wilkins doing the defence, and we stood up physically in defence. So I think we got the right bums on seats this year in the coaching group, and it sort of showed a bit there tonight.
You've changed roles. You're now Director of Rugby. Give me an overview of what that is. I mean, it probably stands out that you're the Director of Rugby, but what are you going to change a little bit with what do you see the role as?
Well, I'm not coaching at the moment, or I won't be coaching this year, and that's a massive change for me. But it's also going back to, well, what are we all good at? And I went away from that last year. I went away from, I always talk about weapons, but as I just said before, we've got the right bums on seats this year. So probably my strength is definitely working with individuals and trying to get the best out of them, whether that's coaching staff, whether that's players. So I'm the behind-the-scenes bloke just working with all the individuals. We've got 46 players, we've got 20 staff, a lot of people to work with, and I'm doing that, trying to challenge and support, we call it. So that's my role. Pete Wilkins has taken over the head coaching role. What's his strength? He's brilliant at delivering message. He's brilliant at actually getting organisational messages across and coordinating things. So he's taken that role, and then, as I said before, the other coaches are now doing what they're very good at. So I'm really happy with it. I really am happy with it, and I think it's going to be a really exciting year for us.
Does that mean, though, at some stage, if you see something that you think isn't working, you can still come in and say, look, we need to look at this, or from feedback that you're getting from individuals, particularly maybe players, there are certain things here that need to be tightened up or just changed around a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, listen, everything has to come through me. So Pete comes and presents to me and says, this is what I'm thinking, friendy, whether that's selection, so he's looking after selection too, whether that's something we're trying to do. My message to Pete, if it makes sense to me, I'm going to back it. I'm going to back it because I trust you. If it doesn't make sense, then I'll call it and I'll say, no, I'm not happy with that. So everything still comes through me, which means, I'm not on-field coaching, but I still have overriding say on that. But as I said there before, I do trust what he's doing. I do trust the way he goes about his job. I'm probably the last checkpoint on that, just to say yes or no to it, but hopefully there's not too many no's.
And what about in-game, when you're actually here watching a game and you're in the coaching box or in the unit? What's the role then? Is that different? Is it a role of just observing, or do you feel if there's a necessity for input, you'll make it? Yeah,
but like there tonight, we've only had 2 games doing that, but it's me going through Pete, so I've got the radio on, but I didn't use it in either of the 2 games. If I did use it, it was really just to provide clarity on a message that had either been lost in translation. So again, because I'm slightly removed, I can offer that probably calmer view on it, and that's often messages that are coming from the ground up. So, but in terms of substitutions, it'll be me saying to Pete, listen, I'm thinking this, what do you reckon? Or him saying to me, I'm thinking this, friendly, what do you reckon? So it's very calm up there. I think it's an exciting way to go about it, because it doesn't always have to be banging tables and yelling down microphones. It's, we're sitting up there observing the game from a distance, trying to give our tuppence worth on it and trying to make the correct decision. So it's a dual thing. But at the end of the day, Pete, if he thinks it's the right call, and I trust him on that, he's going to make that call.
What's ahead now? 3 weeks tonight, or 3 weeks tonight plus a day, we'll be in Belfast for an interprovincial to start the season, which is very unusual, and it's the start of a run of very tough games. But what are you up to between now and then, in terms of maybe extra games or just getting ready?
Yeah, well, we lost our. We were to have another trial game, which was to be next week, but unfortunately we lost that. We had a team pull out on us. So as things currently stand, they're the 2 trial games that we've got. If we need to do anything else, we may well look to do that internally. So we've really got 3 weeks to build up into that game. This has been a huge week for us, though. We've had 2 big games in 3 days. So next week we'll review those. We'll keep adding layers to what it is we've been doing. As you can see out there, we still need a bit more accuracy around some of the things we're trying to do. We've got a bit of time now to get that right. So we've also got some A fixtures coming up shortly, so there'll be parts of the squad possibly getting games there. Percentage-wise, how close would you say you're ready to go? I reckon we're 65-70% ready to go. Again, players needed games of football. They've got that. Ideally, they'd probably have another game of football, but if we haven't got that, we'll make that work.
I'm going to start with Josh Murphy, who is the new man in the Connacht setup here. First start for Connacht. How did that go?
It was good to get the jersey on finally. Really enjoyed it, and nice to get the win as well.
A tough old side sail. They're very physical. They're big. They're pretty powerful, but you handled them pretty well out there.
Yeah, they're big lads, so it was nice to get a maul try against them and keep them out for most of the game. But probably would have been nice to keep them out for the whole game and those line-outs. But yeah, they're big lads, so it was a good test.
How are you finding settling in? You've probably been here since early July at this stage, so you're getting a bit more used to the west of Ireland and how Connacht do things.
Yeah, it's great. Love Connacht so far. Living not too far away from the ground, so it's all going well so far. Not too much rain yet.
You'll get used to that. Don't think we get many nights like this here in the sports ground. Dylan, well done. You kicked on at the end of last season. You made a couple of big appearances in South Africa, so it was important for you tonight to get out there and get at it again, and you seem to be well in the thick of things.
Yeah, obviously with Hef and them going really well in New Zealand, I got an opportunity to come in here and start only for the second time. Loved it, absolutely loved the way we got out there and the physicality of the game. Still a real tough team. Got a good few line-outs, a load of ones on Josh as well, so not too bad. But yeah, delighted to kick on from last season and get another start.
Yeah, the line-out was operating well, and you also, on the other side of that, you got stuck into their line-out, which is important. Josh was very integral to that. But overall, around the park as well, you were in the rough and tumble out there.
Yeah, it's the way I like to get it done. I maybe need a few more kilos on me to be doing what I'd like to be doing. But yeah, I love to get stuck in. So.
And how's the season been going? I mean, everybody. July the 11th, I think he came back roughly. So it's important. That's a key part of the season because you need to get ready. And once the season starts, it happens very quickly.
Yeah, obviously Mikey's come in as our new S&C lead, and all the lads like Jock and Bobby and all them have come in, and we've had a really, really tough pre-season, but I think everybody's come through it really well. We have a clean bill of health so far, and it's been tough, but it's been really good, and kind of things are coming together now as we're starting to get some games in, and I know that we've Ulster up in Ravenhill in 2 or 3 weeks, so we've a tough start to the season, so we want to keep kicking on, but it's been going really well so far. Yeah.
It's an interesting start to the season, Josh. You've an interprovincial in Belfast, then you're off down to South Africa, then you've got 2 more interprovincials, so it's going to come thick and fast.
Yeah, it's a nice start. There'll be a few physical challenges in there, but I don't think we'd want it any other way. We're going to have to face them sometimes, so it'll be nice to get going straight away.
Are you looking forward to playing on the artificial pitch? Have you come across them before?
I'd say you'll have to ask the backs that one now. I'll stay quiet on that one.
Well, I've only got 2 forwards here, so Dylan, what do you think of the artificial pitch that's coming, and the fact that the game is played at a hell of a rate? It's a hell of a pace.
I don't know. I think it'll suit us down to the ground. I think the way we want to play is kind of fast and to the edges and stuff like that. So the way Mossy and the lads have us set up for our attack, it'll definitely contribute to that. And I know that. I think it'll be an advantage for us for lads to come to the sports ground. I know it always is with the weather and stuff like that, and it's our fortress, but definitely now with the 4G it'll be another step up. It'll be a really hard place for people to come, and we want to make it that way for them, make it really uncomfortable for them. Yeah.
That's what I meant to say.
Gentlemen, good to talk to you. We'll catch up with you again soon, and well done tonight. Go and join your mates.
Thanks very much.
Awesome. Cheers. Thank you.
Love that. Love the feel of a pre-season night when we win. We don't always win these games. I feel like we lose a hell of a lot more than we win. So it's lovely.
Yeah, I think London Irish put a lot of points on us last year, which then was a little bit of a précis of what happened for the rest of the season with Connacht. This is a hell of a win. Consider they're getting ready to play in a week and a half's time. They're going to be playing their
13 days.
Yeah, and we've got another couple of weeks to go, and especially after the result, because I think people were a little bit depressed about the results down the south of France. But then you were playing the team that were favourite to win the championship last year in France, in playing Cast. Finalists, yeah, that's what I'm saying. They were favourites to win the final, and they got sort of blown away. But you're talking about a really difficult team down in there, and they're much
They're
further
a week
on.
away. They're starting next week.
Yeah, But like, I think the big thing for me was it sounded like the forwards struggled down in France. They just did not struggle today against a really powerful Sale pack.
Well, one thing we got to remember down in France, it was 34 degrees during the day there, so that's going to absolutely sap the energy out of you. But yeah, no, this was definitely much more upbeat feel to this one. Maybe not after the first half. There was a lot of we just couldn't get out of our half. If you're looking at it from a defensive point of view, yeah, it was brilliant. But I'd be a little bit worried just that, like, we couldn't one, hold on to the ball, or two, get out of our own half. Sale seems to spend a lot of time in our half, but we got to commend our defence. We held them down to only one try, and they only scored that in the last few minutes.
One thing I like to do, macro, micro. That's how this podcast is going to go. Micro, we'll go through the individual players that we liked and thought would play well. That's how we'll finish. Macro, Danny's got us there. The bigger picture stuff. Defence to start.
Yeah, huge attitude, huge brilliant attitude. As I say, dogged, and there was real dog in that team right across the board. I thought Peter Dooley had a very effective game, very quietly effective all the way through. Dylan Tierney-Martin, who's we just heard from, I thought he was he plays very close to the edge, it has to be said, but that's what you need sometimes.
Yeah, it's great to see, because in South Africa he was one of a few players that put up their hand at a stage in the season where, I mean, what did they say? They were playing out the season. There's a term for it in American sport when you're not getting to the playoffs. Connacht weren't getting anywhere, but I think they got something out of that tour, because we can see it carrying on now.
I definitely like Dylan Tierney-Martin was one guy, but you have to look at it from his point of view. He's trying to get into a team. Hef wasn't playing too great. Della Hunt is out with an injury. He's next in line, so he needs to take his chance, and he certainly has. He's taken that jersey with two hands, and there'll be a good fight for it this season.
Stick on that bigger picture stuff for a second for me. I want to ask you about the exits, because I'm wondering about this. I've been seeing this for a while. Connacht, get put into their own 22, then get a big turnover, but then the clearance kick never gets beyond the 10-metre line, and they're back on it again. That happened a lot last season. It happened a lot in this game.
Well, it's not so much just getting to the 10. It's what happens after that. It's the line out, dealing with the first phase of plays, and then giving away a penalty. That's the problem. It's giving away the penalties.
Just be clear, we're talking about defensively here. We're not talking about
Yeah.
So get up to the 10 and that's fine, but it's what happens after that.
Like we seem to certainly I felt in this game we did clear the lines to get the touch, get to a reset, but the problem was after that we were giving away a simple penalty. It was too easy. Sale straight back into the 22, and then we're putting ourselves under pressure. And I would say a better team will do a lot more damage to us.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. They seem to get anxious. They think that it's as though they've got the relief of the kick, and then they go, right now we have to keep going, rather than just staying calm. You'd like them to stay a little bit calmer. Having said that, again, I was impressed with a lot of talk. There was a lot of talk all the way through the game. It wasn't just, didn't die off as they were put under pressure. Even though they were under pressure, they still held out. And Sale never really looked like scoring. Like, I was chatting to their analyst before the game, and he said, like, their game is all about power. It's a power game. It's something that they spend a lot of time on. It's what they're all about. And Connacht dealt with it excellently.
I'm interested in this. It's an attitude thing that you spoke about in the podcast this week, Alan. Danny, you come in off the back of this. But, this is a reverse kind of point. But Shane Bolton was so gutted to have to go off, and Jeremy Kilgallen looks so disappointed to have cry off early. So I think it's that real kind of sense of wanting to be part of it. I mean, gutted not being able to. And then just something I noted at the end, very small point, but there was only two players who weren't used, and they were going through the rundowns. Who were the two? Charlie Ward and Vermeulen.
Vermeulen, yeah.
But also Jordan Duggan, who had played about 15 minutes, went in with them to do those rundowns. And I'm not saying the others should have done it, but Jordan Duggan's a player who just didn't get the breakthrough last year. He fell down the pecking order. Love that attitude.
And that's what you're looking for. That's what's seen. I've gone to a couple of the training sessions, and I've just seen that just seems to be a little bit more player-driven stuff now. That you were sort of worried it wasn't there before, but there's definitely something there. I know it's only one game, and they were hammered down in France, so we have to be, maybe I'm just so excited to see a live game of rugby,
we're not making any pronouncements off the back of this. We're just saying this is what we saw, and these are good songs.
It is, and it's still a long way to the start of the season.
3 weeks, yeah. And then it's Belfast, and we won't go through the run of fixtures because they're tough. Danny, on that general kind of, you were right beside the players. You said there was a lot of good shouts going in and enthusiasm. You first, Danny.
No, I was the one that was beside the player. We had Danny.
Danny was on the far side. Sorry, he was looking at me like, "What are you talking?"
Yeah, no, I was sitting beside the players, and there was a lot of shouts going on. There was a lot of them took a lot of mirth in watching some of our lads when they made a mistake get smashed, and I was surprised at how much fun they took out of watching their own players getting hammered, which I thought was very funny. But another player I thought that was really well, young Josh O'Connor on the wing. I didn't know a whole heck of a lot about him, but he took his try brilliantly and looked really dangerous out on the field. I have to say, can't wait to see a bit more of him.
Lindley, our listeners have heard from the interviews. We actually haven't heard them, but you have come from that. Well, welcome along. Happy new season.
And you too, all of you, on this lovely evening where Connacht have a second only victory over Sale in their, how many meetings? 8?
Yes, correct, absolutely.
Did we win the one in the Challenge Cup like about 20 years ago where we lost anyways in the second leg?
No, 2019 was the only time we beat them.
Right. I remember Robinson running in tries and God, that was...
Yeah, 59 points they put us that game, yeah.
Those were bad times. This is better times. A bit of promising signs. Let's not get too carried away, obviously, but a bit of promising signs there, we're thinking.
Oh, absolutely. I think, like, for a start, you're playing Sale, and as we know that we've only beaten them, this is only the second time. They come here, obviously, to win. Remember, Connacht have had a kind of a topsy-turvy week because they had a different squad altogether. A different squad altogether in France, and now another one, a different squad here. So they've kind of had an unsettled, week or 2 weeks of training. So I thought it was a very, really gutsy performance from a lot of young players who are obviously showing huge promise. So there's obviously something happening in Connacht. Maybe it's the change in the coaching structure or something like that. I don't know, but I thought it was a very promising performance.
No, what I think it is we were talking about guys taking chances, and you were talking about a couple of guys going down, Bolton and Kilgallen being really gutted, is because this was a chance, and like we can see that this coaching team will give guys a chance if you take it going forward. Like look at Dylan Tierney-Martin, he's picked up exactly where he left off last season, probably better. So a lot of guys, a lot of young lads. I was impressed with Jennings on the wing, who was brought in last minute for Kilgallen. Did a lot of talk, a lot of organisation.
Ended up in the centre then?
Yep, was very good, just adapted. There was it never looked weak. Any player that came on seemed to strengthen us, and everyone was on the same page, the attitude was right, guys playing with a smile on their face, where you're laughing at the fact that guys are laughing at each other, but it has to be, that to me would mean that there's a good environment in the camp.
Yeah.
So that makes me very hopeful for this season.
Yeah, I like your take there on that, because you've been in these environments in club teams and wondering how that actually reads when you see guys having fun and maybe taking the mickey, to use the phrase, out of each other. No harm in it.
I think there's only one thing I would say, is that please put Bundy back on the field, because he was sitting right in front of me and it was so distracting the entire game. Throngs and throngs of children and girls and everyone, and he was climbing up and down to sign autographs. It was wonderful to see, and he was delighted, but I did feel sorry for all the rest of the players around him. They didn't get a look in.
Yeah, well, we've actually mentioned earlier that Tom Curry was holding the camera for a few people as well, which was quite funny. But yeah, I suppose as we wrap this up, Alan, I think there are signs that the academy players are, like, if you're in the Connacht Academy now, let's say you've just broken into it, like what an advert for the Connacht Academy tonight. The amount of opportunity players like Eoin de Buitlear, love his attitude, energy, and the try.
Oh yeah, and they all.
One more point. That line out, he had to take it a second time. Just boom, didn't even think about it. Hit Darren Murray again, and he gets the try.
Yeah, I like super stuff, super attitude, and super belief. That there's definitely a belief that's there. These guys believe in what they're doing. They believe that what they're doing is the right thing, and really looking forward to an exciting season.
Actually, I was just talking to Andy about those players in the academy, and he says most of them have now been there for like three or four, going 4 years. Puts a lot of it down to the professionalism in the academy now, led by the likes of Eric Alwood, who are there, and he says it's really starting to you're starting to see the fruits of those people who are delivering that program now.
Brilliant to hear. I want to finish on Josh Murphy, because I just think he might be everything we've been missing. Is that too excited too soon?
Nope. Just simply nope. He was immense defensively, just in the line out at ruck time. Good carrier. He seemed to take 2 guys and still be on his feet. Now he might not be going forward, but he's pulling more and more guys in, which means there's more space on the pitch, and that certainly helped when the game eventually did break down and we could start playing a bit more rugby. We started making breaks, but it came from guys like Josh Murphy dragging 2 or 3 guys in to take him down.
Gavin Thornbury loved playing alongside him, but yeah, your thoughts on
Yeah, there's a bit of nasty there, which is really nice. And just before
even going off after?
Yeah. And just as Andy heads off there, before, because William was coming down from his commentary position, so I was saying to him, Jesus, Josh Murphy's good, isn't he? And he went, yeah, I fell in love with him a couple of days ago. He's brilliant. I went, yeah, I'll be there. He looks, let's hope he got a little bit of a tweak near in this.
We all went, no.
But he kept going for a while, so hopefully there's nothing wrong there, and that we see him playing a lot
You
of
want
rugby.
him in Ravenhill. You want him right in the middle of it.
Yeah, definitely, without
So
shadow.
the other Josh was pretty impressive too when he came on.
Josh O'Connor, good try. He's
Absolutely,
an expert guy.
very well. Yeah, just came on and did the business, and so both backs and forwards, youngsters coming in and playing their part.
Good shout, Lindy. They're the kind of good shouts we have in this podcast all season. Danny.
One last, then Oisin McCormack, just dogged work. Like, he came on early and it was as if he'd been in that team all his life.
Loved watching him for the Irish under-20s because he was at the same stuff everywhere. Got a turnover and a penalty on his own 22 and that set the tone.
Doesn't seem to make mistakes, and nobody seems to go past him. You couldn't ask for any more from moving forward, really.
That's the Allen's elevator pitch. If someone was like saying, "Sum him up, done. I want him in the team." All right, that's it. Lots to be positive about. Let's obviously be aware. This is pre-season, so we'll see how things go. But no reason why we don't start being positive in Connacht. That's what we do.
We certainly do. We need to do a proper preview, though. We need to do a proper season.
We're working on it.
Yeah. So we'll get that coming up soon.
There, folks. Yeah, and I hope you've enjoyed all the content so far. In the meantime, we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, Lindley.
You're welcome anytime. Look forward to it. It's nice to be back, isn't it? On a beautiful evening in Athlone.
Listen, if that wouldn't lift your spirits. Thanks, Danny.
Very welcome.
Thanks, Alan.
Cheers, Rob.
Thanks, William, and you and all you people at home. Talk to you soon.
Well, folks, we hope you enjoyed that review of the win over Sale, and we're going to ask you for a little bit of help now. Can you review and rate us on whatever platform you listen to this podcast on to help us spread the word on all things Connacht rugby to as many Connacht supporters and fans all around the world? You could keep it even simpler by just letting people know about our podcast by word of mouth with anyone you are talking to about Connacht rugby when you're out and about. If you feel that the extensive content that we strive to provide on Connacht rugby is worth the price of a couple of cups of coffee a month, then why not go to patreon.com/CraggyRugby and become a patron to the podcast, where you will get in-depth midweek preview and review podcasts during the season, as well as interview with the coaches on the day of team selections, and much, much more, as we try and cover all angles of Connacht rugby. Thanks to everyone who's already supporting the podcast, and here's to a great season of exciting rugby from Connacht.
Loose, cut it loose. Break out or nothing changes. Sad and confused. Don't wait until